Hello, so I'm on top of Warton Crag near Carnforth, just outside of Morecambe, and from up here you get a fantastic view across Morecambe Bay. So I just thought to talk a bit about the geography of Morecambe Bay. When you look on Google or an internet search, it describes Morecambe Bay as the largest expanse of intertidal mudflats and sand in the United Kingdom. Basically means a lot of mud and a lot of sand, and it's sometimes covered by the tide and sometimes uncovered, and that's why you probably get quicksand and all that kind of stuff. But from up here you can see where some of the rivers flow into Morecambe Bay. Just around here where I'm pointing and over here there's something called the River Keir that flows into Morecambe Bay across all this marshland. Don't think it's a terribly big river, but over across here towards Arnside you get something flowing in called the River Kent, which arises somewhere around Kentmere. The River Kent flows into Morecambe Bay and it cuts across the bay as the Kent Channel. You have to cross that when you do a cross bay walk with a guide, and people who've swam across the bay in the past probably use that Kent Channel to get some tidal assistance and a push across, but apparently the sandbanks have changed a lot now and it's not possible to swim across like you used to be able to do. So you've got the Keir here near Carnforth, you've got the Kent at Arnside. If you look further into the distance over there, you'll see land sticking out over there. You've got Grange and Arnside. Towards the end there, Flukeborough, where Cedric Robinson, the old sands guide, used to live. On the back side of Flukeborough, over there, you can't see it from here. You won't be able to see in the distance over there either. There's a white monument on a hill called the Hode Monument. But on the back side of that land you see in the distance over there, you've got the Leven estuary, where the River Levens drains out of Windermere into Morecambe Bay somewhere near Ulverston. That's on the western side of the bay. If you look further down there, you might just be able to see the power station in the distance. Let's see if I can enlarge the screen. You can just about see them sticking up there. That's the power station, Heysham 1 and 2. If you go past that and down the bay, heading in a southerly direction, you'd come to somewhere called Sunderland Point. That's where the River Lune, which flows through Lancaster, empties out into the bay at Sunderland Point. And in the past, a man swam from the quay in Lancaster all the way down the River Lune, out past Glasson Dock. He entered the sea at Sunderland Point and swam all the way up the bay to the stone jetty, which I can see in the distance over there. His name was Kendall Mellor and he came from Keighley. He's an amazing swimmer. If you went down the bay miles and miles past Sunderland Point, eventually you'll come to Fleetwood, where the River Wyre enters Morecambe Bay. Now there's one man I know who, well I know of, he swam from Fleetwood to Morecambe on at least 2 occasions. A man called Gerald Forsberg. There's a statue to him on Morecambe Promenade in the West End. I think he did 29 crossings of Morecambe Bay from Grange to Morecambe. I think he did 1 or 2 two-ways, swimming from Morecambe to Grange and back. And he did Fleetwood, the English Channel, you name it, he's probably swam it. He piloted from Fleetwood to Morecambe by a man I know called Charlie Overett, who piloted him, I don't know what year it was, but got him in quicker than he expected to get, and apparently he was very pleased with it. So that's some of the things in Morecambe Bay. Up here on Warton Crag you do get a very nice view. In the distance over there you've got the Lake District peaks, but it's beautiful. What I've been told is why you can't swim from Grange to Morecambe. Probably quite difficult to see. Where you've got this headland sticking out over there around Silverdale, on the back side of it cuts into Arnside, and apparently somewhere over there over the years large amounts of sand have been dumped by the tide washing up the bay, and from what I've been told, some of the, when the River Kent enters the sea over there, I think a lot of it used to wash this way towards Morecambe over there, and the tide seemed to go this way and out. What's seeming to happen now, from talking to a lot of different people, is when the water's flooded into Morecambe Bay over there and starts going out, a lot of it tends to just go straight out and bypass Morecambe altogether, and you're not getting that same tidal push towards Morecambe. And I wonder if on that corner of that headland near Silverdale, if there's huge banks of sand, do they sort of funnel the water out more into the middle of the bay rather than across to Morecambe? I'm not entirely sure. I'm by no means an expert on it, but that's what I've come to conclude from talking to quite a lot of people who have swam it or tried to, people who've kayaked it. So that's some of the bay. It's a massive place. I mean, 120 square miles is it's a big lot of land, isn't it? From a certain vantage point, it just looks like a flat sort of barren landscape, but I think the higher up you get, you realise that you know, there's a lot more to it than you first thought. I think it was last year a group of us were swimming up the bay from somewhere near the power station towards the battery, which is that way, and usually we get a lot of tidal assistance. On this particular day it was a 10-metre tide, one of the highest tides you'll get in Morecambe Bay, and if anything we were being pushed backwards, and we wondered why with all that water behind us. And somebody who fishes here on a boat had said that on bigger tides, I'm not sure how big, but at least the really big tides, the tide can empty out like an hour earlier than it says on the tide guides. And my thinking is that when there's a really big tide and all the water pushes up from the south up the bay northwards towards Arnside, I do wonder if at a certain height there's that much water in the bay, it has nowhere to go and sort of hits land and sort of recirculates and goes back out on itself earlier than it normally would. Again, that's just my thinking. One more thing to point out, I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here. Let's just see, you can see something right in the middle of the picture there, a bit of raised land. I'll just point to it. It's trying to focus, sorry. Just over there, something called Priest Skier. My understanding is that little raised bit of land over there that's sticking up used to be used as a bit of a resting place when monks would walk across Morecambe Bay towards, is it Furness or Cartmel Abbeys? That would be used as a little stop off point. You can see a train there in the distance, I think. Very nice place, but I'm learning all the time. My main interest is obviously open water swimming and thinking about trying to swim across this bay. It's quite sad that it doesn't seem to be possible at the time, but I often feel like the more we know about this bay, we can make it as safe as possible for swimming in. It's never going to be 100% safe, but just knowing where the channels are, where you're going to get the tidal assistance, where it's sheltered, where it's wide open, it all helps when you're swimming. And apparently people have been swimming in this bay for, we've got about 120 odd years of history. The first man to swim across the bay that's recorded was Professor William Stern in 1907, who swam from Grange to Morecambe. Then after that lots of people started doing it. So we've got a lot of history of open water swimming here, and I would like to do it myself if it ever becomes swimmable again.